All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
And so before I launch this Monday show today, it's going to be a gem of a show. I want to thank you all. Last week was another banger of a week. 5 million views on the podcast show alone on Rumble. That doesn't count anything else. That doesn't count Apple, Spotify, wherever else you listen to your audio podcasts. 5 million just on the show. That doesn't even count Rumble Shorts. Doesn't count YouTube Shorts. Doesn't count anything. That's just on the show alone. And that was during spring break week. So thank you so much. I can't tell you enough how much you matter to me. I had a great weekend this weekend. I was out in Palm Beach County, and so many people had so many nice things to say. I love you guys so much. I don't ever want you to think I take you guys for granted. I do not. It means so much to me. My wife was like, these are just the most amazing people. Thanks so much. That was spring break week, too. We were expecting a really slow week. It turned out to be incredible. I saw something this morning driving over to work here in the studio. I saw something this morning that made me think, too, I get it, folks. Just the doom and gloom on the left, the doom and gloom on a small pocket on the right. I get it. I understand people, listen, everybody's right to an opinion. Do your thing. As long as you don't break the law, you're good to go, man, and that's great. But I never, ever want you to forget the gift you have being alive in the United States in the golden age of politics right now. I saw something this morning just kind of, got my head in the way over. And I want to pass it on to you because I don't know this guy, but I want to thank him anyway. Quick, before I get to that. Today's show brought to you by All Family Pharmacy. They let you plan ahead. Don't wait for an emergency to start planning. It's too late. They enable you to plan ahead with medication shipped right to your door. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino to learn more. Get those medications today. Use code Bongino10 to save 10% on your next order, prescription provided. Please don't wait. And today's show also brought to you by, right around the topic of health and be prepared. You got to prepare your body too with Brickhouse Nutrition. Brickhouse Nutrition, Lean. This is the product I use. I always put that backwards there. Lean, Lean. Get lean. Drop a few lbs. You're getting a little bit doughy. Folks, I was about 230 after I went through the whole, cancer and chemo thing. I may be one of the only guys who didn't lose weight on chemo. But I looked in the mirror one day. I'm like, I don't know about that. Andy, I caught that, by the way. See, Gee to the rescue. I've told these guys are always part of the show, no matter what. So I decided to call up Brickhouse Nutrition, Miles. I said, hey, Miles, we need a product. I got to take care of a few lbs here and there and lose some weight. I lost about 28, 30 pounds with Lean. It's an amazing product. Me and Paula use it right now. Can't recommend it highly enough. Losing weight's a pain. I've been there. I've told you about it. Weight loss injections work by helping control blood sugar and curb appetite so you eat less. It's not a mystery there. That's what Lean was created to do as well. Replicate the benefits of injections without the actual needles. Lean supports healthy blood sugar, helps reduce spikes and crashes that drive snacking and craving, but Lean goes a step further and helps your body burn fat into energy instead of storing it. No prescriptions, no needles. If you've been thinking about losing weight, check it out. Lean, love the product, love the company. Visit brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Pick up Lean today. Use promo code Dan to get 20% off. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. The product's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease. It's not a substitute for or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Thank you, Lean. Look at that. Hit the bell. Very nice. Sorry, guys. I told you in the job interview, like everything. This show is like a family here. This is how you're part of the show. You got to be ready to roll anytime. So I'm driving to work this morning, and it's not a terribly long commute. It's one of the best parts about having a studio not too far from your residence is it's not like 2-3 hours on the road. And I have my head down at a light. It's not that early or anything, but I look up and I see this guy next to me. And no, this is not the moth joke from Norm Macdonald that has a punchline. I promise. If you ever seen the moth joke, it's hilarious. If not, check it out. I see this guy next to me and he's a little bit overweight, probably, 30, 40 pounds on him, but you can definitely see like little spare tire, if you know what I mean. And the guy's, I think, in his 40s or something, guesstimating. And he's jogging on this road and he's clearly struggling. You can tell like he's not a runner. He's probably new to exercise. But man, this guy, I drive like real slow because I'm going to get a look. And I'm like, this guy, he's huffing and puffing, but he must have made some decision. Like I don't know this guy, I never met him in my life. I live in a relatively small neighborhood, but I'd never seen this guy before. And I thought to myself, like, this is the kind of guy I want to be friends with, you know? Like the whole theme of today's show, where I try to show you the entire Democrat liberal wing of the movement, the radical portion of the left-wing movement is all funded by money. There's no ideology there. The reason the left wing is fallen apart and Donald Trump has basically crushed them over the last few years, they could have a good midterm, who knows, but he has crushed them and basically destroyed them. And they've tried to eliminate him and it hasn't worked, is because the entire Democrat Party's been hijacked by a moneyed portion of activists wanting you to believe that the abnormal is normal. They can't relate to that guy. I have no idea who the guy is, but I assure you a guy like that is probably not some guy lobbying for men's penises in the women's room or to defund the police. I don't know him. I'm just taking a chance, but I can guarantee you he may be a Democrat. I don't know, but he's not that kind of Democrat. So whenever you see these bullshit organized movements with Soviet flags out there, free Palestine. Where's Palestine? I don't know. I heard about it on Wikipedia. I just want you to know, smile. Regular, normal people trying to drop a few LBs, running to work, jogging for the first time, trying to change their life around and putting in the work. Don't give a shit about any of that stuff. Folks, frankly, they probably don't know half of the people in, what do they call, Podcastistan. They don't know any of that. All they know is work and providing for their families. So when you talk about the country again, talk about it with a smile, as they told Walter Williams one time. You talk about liberty, talk about it with a smile. When you talk about the country, talk about it with a smile. It's a great place. Guy was struggling, but whoever that was this morning, good for you, brother. You stick to it. So today's show, follow the money. And I say follow the money, not just because I wrote a book about following the money. That's a different topic altogether. I will call it Follow the Money today because I want to cover two separate angles of this. First, I want to cover this massive revelation by a reporter doing some work. It was covered on Fox News, Astra Nomani. You may have heard of her, seen her, where she uncovered this huge network of potentially $1 billion of NGOs and political influence money flowing into this anti-communist movement in the United States. I want to get to that. And I'll explain what that is in a minute for those of you who don't know, because it's really important in this segment, because Trump gets the anti-communist theory too, okay? And I'll show you in a second what I mean. I also want to cover the follow the money thing from Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and Steve Miller, who basically now are saying exactly what I told you last week. The Nick Shirley moment where he caught all that fraud in Minnesota on camera, I'm telling you folks, changes the game forever. We're going to get to all of that. First, I want to get to this. Does Donald Trump have a time machine? This guy freaking like have the DeLorean, the stainless steel DeLorean? I'm not kidding. There are a group of people out there, again, trying to secrete themselves in the tent and elsewhere, who want you to believe that Donald Trump has changed. He's being dog walked around by foreign countries, the Israelis and others. A bunch of donors and everything else are paying him. Donald Trump. I call it the Donald Trump has no agency theory. Well, if Donald Trump has no agency and can't think for himself and is constantly being dog walked around by everyone, why has Donald Trump been saying the same thing since the 1980s? Here is a video from the 1980s. Donald Trump, Barbara Walters, Donald Trump in the beginning giving his speech, saying the exact same thing about Iran. It's not my fault. You guys don't know about this stuff and want to, propel forward these bullshit theories about Donald Trump being hijacked by some like enemy foreign state. Check this out.
I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
how
have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it. and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Folks, he's been saying the same thing since the 80s. Just listen to him. You don't have to listen to me. I could just repeat what he just said and say he said it, but he can say it himself. You just heard him say it himself. He's been saying the same thing over and over and over again. Listen, can we chat for a second? Of course, it's my show. I guess we have to chat. Guys, ladies, let me just preface this by saying this in the most certain, bolded exclamation point terms possible. I respect, and I mean this, completely, totally, 100%, full stop, respect your ability as a pundit, a talking head, and a commentariat class. I'm one of them too. I respect the fact that you have an opinion and vocalize it and put yourself out there on social media. I do. I'm not suggesting it's in any way heroic. I'm just saying, you know, you put any opinion out on social media, you're going to get maybe 60% of people agree, 40% disagree, and you spend all day fighting. I understand that. However, what I'm growing a little bit exhausted about is just because you can say something on an issue doesn't mean you should, correct? I'm not attacking your right to say it. I just said I respect your ability to speak out and some people's, vocal but consistent opinions on this stuff. But Trump's been in Iran. We're 4 weeks in. We've had overwhelming successes. There have been some setbacks, no question. War is never easy or glamorous. There are hard men who have to go do this on our behalf. There is no doubt. But shit, man, we're a month in. I don't understand. There is this crowd of people, and they're out there. They just want us to lose. They say they don't, but every single thing they say is some kind of demoralization post where it's like they over-exaggerate our enemies' mild, if you even want to call them successes, and completely ignore the overwhelming power of the U.S. military to basically decapitate the entire Iranian regime, their ballistic missile program, and elsewhere. My gosh, man, just give the dude a chance. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I'm not telling you I don't have an opinion. I'm not saying that at all. But there's zero question about it that your Donald Trump was dog walked into war theory is total bullshit. That's him in 1987. 1987. I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. Trump's instincts on this stuff, by the way, are unusually good. They are good. Trump's instincts on these foreign interventions, whether it was, and when I say interventions, I don't necessarily mean war. I mean diplomacy too. Remember they told him on the Abraham Accords, and I'll make it even easier for you. Do you remember after they killed Soleimani, there were threats, there's going to be World War III. Donald Trump understood, just like he did in that 1987 clip. If you rewind and listen again, if you're watching on demand, what does he keep mentioning? You cannot be weak. You cannot be weak. He understands that the projection of power matters to mitigate the potential for attacks on your front. It's the Brock Lesnar theory, I call it, of bar fights. How come Brock Lesnar probably doesn't get into a lot of bar fights? Because the truth is 99% of sane people are not going to try to fight Brock Lesnar. He'll kick the shit out of you. He doesn't have to fight. The look of Brock Lesnar is enough to keep a lot of people away. There's always that one lunatic who wants to test you out, however. That's how Donald Trump operates. If you operate from a position of strength and you understand who the enemy is, you hopefully will mitigate in advance any attacks that would have happened because they sense weakness. It's that whenever you talk to criminals who attack police officers or get into AOPs, like assault on police officers, or AFOs, what we call them in the FBI, assaults on federal officers. You always ask them later on, if you do a study, hey, why did you attack that guy? Because I thought I could take him. Trump understands that. He's got like a gut instinct for this. After they moved the embassy to Jerusalem, the U.S. embassy, there was all this talk. Donald Trump is so stupid. I can't believe it. There's going to be World War III if this happens. And what happened? Squat. Jack shit happened. The Abraham Accords that we signed between Israel and multiple countries in the Middle East. World War III is going to happen. That didn't happen either. So can you just acknowledge that his instincts on this? Was it luck? I don't know. I'll be honest with you, man. Do you really care? If the end result is it worked, why do you even care? Speculating endlessly, well, it was luck or it was this or it was that. We're there. Here's what I mean about how this guy he's got this, he understands the political winds, lick the finger, see where the winds are going. He understands the political winds better than anyone. And he gets who the enemy is. He understands that the left will align with anyone in order to destroy us as we take on the enemies of freedom and liberty. Remember the David Horowitz theory. I can't say this enough because once you see it, folks, you'll never unsee it. Stop thinking of politics in terms of binaries on issues. Second Amendment rights versus the gun grabbers. Gay rights versus the conservatives want everybody treated equally. Stop thinking of issues and politics in terms of that. That's us. We care about issues. The left does not care about issues. The left cares about destroying anyone who gets in the way of their pursuit of absolute power. It's the David Horowitz anti-communist theory. We are the anti-communists fighting the communists. They are anti-communists. They're just against people who get in their way. Trump gets this, and you're going to see this. He does have a phone interview on the 5, on Fox, of course, which, by the way, was probably the greatest hour of TV I've seen in a long time. If you missed it, I encourage you to listen to the whole thing. It is spectacular. It goes in like 1,000 different directions. But here he is. Folks, he gets this. I want you to, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to play the clip. It's about the Ayatollah number 7, who no one's seen yet, who's supposedly in charge of Iran. It's about him potentially being gay. I want you to put the 2 and 2 together. What I just said about anti-communists and this clip and how Trump can say this and no one else can. And here's exactly what he's doing. Check this out.
Have we, and did the CIA tell you that Ayatollah Jr.'s gay?
Well, they did say that, but I don't know if it was only them. I think a lot of people are saying that, which puts them off to a bad start in that particular country. You know, I sort of have to smile to myself when I say I see people trying to defend the Palestinian regime for women for Palestine, but they kill women if you don't wear a certain if you don't wear a certain cloth all over your face, you have no chance of living. And, you know, when I look at gays for Palestine, but they kill gays. They kill them instantly. They throw them off buildings. And I'm saying, who are the gays for Palestine? And they have a significant amount of gays for Palestine. Now, I think I did very well with the gay vote. Okay. I even played the gay national anthem as my walk-off. Okay. For my campaign.
You see what he's doing there? This guy understands weaponized partition politics that's not about issues. How there's a group of lunatic collectivist freaking Soviets on the left looking to destroy this country and anyone who gets in their way. They don't care about the issue. They care about getting rid of you, period. I.e., Donald Trump understands leftist goons do not give a shit about gay rights. If you cared about gay rights, you would be protesting a variety of countries in the Middle East who throw gays off buildings. But you're not protesting that. Matter of fact, you're trying to protect them. Why? Because Trump gets what other politicians just don't. This is not, listen to me. This is not about gay rights. The left doesn't give a shit about gay rights. They care about getting rid of you. They will throw gays overboard in a heartbeat to get power, achieve power, weaponize power. And if they got to throw gay people in jail too, they'll do it in a heartbeat. They won't even think twice about it. They will never look back. Their sole purpose is power. He gets this. This is why his message resonates. Folks, I understand. This show is for people who are kind of like ankle or knee deep in politics. It's not like neck deep. We try to bring some entertainment stuff in it, but make no mistake, like you have to be in a graduate program for politics. This isn't for high school kids, like to follow what's going on in this show a lot. That doesn't resonate with every single person. There are people who they work for a living. They don't have time for all the bullshit. The way Donald Trump talks, hey man, isn't that weird? Like the son may be gay. Whether the son's gay or not doesn't even matter. It's the fact that he put it out there and seeded it as a vehicle to point out the hypocrisy of the left that doesn't give a shit about gay people at all and only cares about protecting a nuclear country, a soon-to-be nuclear country that screams death to America, that has nuclear material. He's like, you guys don't find that weird? That you've got a group of leftists out there who would rather fight for the death to America, nuclear power, nuclear weapon, pursuing Iranians, mullahs? They'd rather defend them than gays? I thought they were the pro-gay rights party. That's why he keeps kicking their ass. Because that is just a level set forever. You don't need some advanced anti-communist theory for that. You don't need any of it. People listening to that were probably like, man, that makes sense. Kind of weird, huh? Folks, his instincts on these things are very good. They're not 100%. I told you, in Washington, D.C., folks, I can't tell you enough. Everything's a level 10 problem. I want to do a shirt, level 10 problems. Everything in D.C. at that cabinet, sub-cabinet level is a level 10 problem. If it was a level 9 problem, someone else fixed it. It is a problem with no good solution. Matter of fact, not even a remotely good solution. There's a shit solution and a shittier one, and you have to just figure it out. The fact that this guy's track record, luck, skill, I haven't been around him. I believe it's skill and negotiation, the ability to read people. You can feel otherwise. There's simply no question the guy's batting average is incredible. There's just not. It's amazing you want to bet against him on the next pitch, despite the fact that the guy's, at this point, winning the Triple Crown. His instincts on the fraud issue, obviously that Nick Shirley exposed a good amount of it in Minnesota. Folks, this is a nationwide epidemic. Him and his administration, they are echoing exactly what I said last week. I'm not suggesting I gave them the idea. They were talking about this long before, to be clear. They understand that this is a big change moment. This is a crisis moment for the big government left that has told you that collectivism, taking your money, giving it to government officials is going to make your life easier. And your life right now is not easier because of the government Donald Trump is trying to reduce in size and has successfully. It's not. You have endless lines at TSA because the Democrats don't want to open up the government. Every time we do a deep dive, even in red states, you find out more and more fraud. Shocker. When the government takes your money and gives it to other people, they don't really give a shit who it goes to. They sense this is the moment. And you've got people on the inside like Stephen Miller and others who know if we're going to move to slim down government and the massive, potentially decades-long $1 trillion of fraud over a decade, that this is the moment to change it. Here's Steve Miller last week at the White House about the Nick Shirley moment and how we need to move now. And this is for the folks out there who aren't knee-deep in politics like us. If you think that you're getting a government benefit and there's big, long, extensive background checks and you and your business and all that stuff, I'm talking about state, local, and federal, you're out of your mind. That's not what's happening at all. You want to see where the fraud comes from? Listen to this.
I think what's important for Americans to understand about how pervasive and widespread the fraud is that all of our systems were set up and established for a high-trust society. I think that most citizens probably assume that there's some verification process that takes place for the receipt of most federal benefits. The reality is that there is not. This is particularly true in blue states, willfully true in blue states, in which all of these programs are operated entirely on the honor system. No verification takes place before individuals are enrolled in or receive these benefits. So as a simple example, if you're a Somali refugee living in Minnesota, you could lie about how many children you have. You could lie about what your immigration status is. You could lie about your marital status. You could lie about child care. You could lie about disability. You could lie about all these things and many more. And nobody in the state of Minnesota would validate any of these facts before writing you a check.
Folks, this is why I feel so good. I mean, I feel really good today. Obviously, if you can tell by the energy today, I slept like a champ last night. However, this is why I don't succumb to the doom and gloom crowd all the time. Yes, of course, government accountability matters. We pay these people. They work for us. Our society operates by consent of the government in a constitutional republic. I get it. But you would never hear this kind of talk from any other, forget about the Democrats, any other Republican administration in my lifetime. I can't speak to before. I'm just telling you, you've never heard this kind of talk from even candidates. Mitt Romney, the Bush administration. You never heard this kind of talk. There would be a revolt. They're ripping money from the mouths of Somali babies in Minnesota. And all of a sudden, everybody would back off. We can't have that article in the paper. It makes us look mean. You know what's mean? Stealing taxpayers' money from that guy running down the avenue as I got to work today, busting his ass, stealing his money to give it to some person who we don't even know if is in the country legally or illegally, to take it, probably ship half to it back to another country, and then sit on their ass and do nothing. That's freaking mean. That's what's mean. You want to talk about mean? Making us work so other people can sit on their ass who never did squat for this country? That's mean. Listen, the Democrats know they have a problem. The problem is this. You ready? The Nick Shirley problem, which we will call it from the, and I mean that in a good way. He's not a problem for us. The Democrats have the Nick Shirley problem. Folks, conservatives dominate new media. They just do. We got good at it early. I don't know why. I think it was, I can speculate. You want me to speculate? I'll tell you. Because I've lived through this. This podcast's been around since 2015. Did TV, did radio. I've done this too, podcasting for a while. Here's what I think happened and why when I say new media, because I like to talk with precision, not big flowery bullshit. I'm talking about socials, TikTok, X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, new media. Old media is broadcast and newspapers. That's just so we're clear. Why do lefties dominate newspaper and broadcast, ABC, NBC, CBS, and others? And we dominate new media because we were gate kept out of it forever. You think a guy like Nick Shirley was going to get an ABC interview in the past or a Tom Brokaw interview with NBC if he was alive back then, Shirley? No chance. The young man's work was pretty groundbreaking. Let's just show up at these places and see what they're doing. We dominate new media. Because we dominate new media, the Democrats are defecating in their diapers. It's a nice way of saying shit in their pants. Because they know there's going to be 1,000 more Nick Shirleys right now that aren't going to be gate-kept from ABC, NBC, and CBS in the newspaper because they don't need those outlets. They can just go on socials and do it themselves. The Cam Higbee post and others out in Skid Row in LA signing up for homeless people. Now, let me tie it up. You ready? The Democrats need the open border plus welfare state symbiote. They need it. They cannot exist as a party with their shut down the government, pretend the government's good, demographic destiny, defund the police, men in the women's room, men in women's sports. These are not popular. They're 80-20 issues against the Democrats. They know that. The Democrats' path to power has always been what they call demographic destiny. They call it replacement theory. They think it's their thing. They talk about it all the time. I'm not going to play the video. I played it 1,000 times. They talk about this openly. They want to open the borders, let people in illegally, get them on the government dole so they don't pay attention to issues. And they become anti-communists. That they don't care about the issue. And the way to do that is to feed them money, get them suckling off the government teat, and get them here illegally in numbers as big as humanly possible. It's the only way they think they can win elections. That's why this Shirley story, and they have the Nick Shirley problem. because conservatives are done with it. Now, to tie another angle into it, how Trump, this guy licks the finger and sees the political wins better than anyone. An unheralded but kick-ass member of his cabinet is Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. Bessent, we'll take a quick break, and after this, sometimes I go a little long. After this, I'm going to play this video of Scott Bessent and the whole Trump administration put this idea together. They probably said, they didn't tell me this, I'm just surmising based on his instincts, how do we take advantage of this Nick Shirley moment and get a bunch of new journalists, new media journalists out there to help us expose this government fraud? And someone said, I've got an idea. And it's genius. Coming up in a quick second here. Hey, did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery? I use them, and my trees and shrubs are going great. They have thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers. The Bongino family is one of them. Paula orders from them all the time. They have all the plants your yard or home needs, including fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and houseplants. Whatever you're looking for, Fast Growing Trees helps you find options that actually work for your climate, space, and lifestyle. We had a lemon tree at the other house. I got to stop by there one time. See if to the folks who bought, is that a tree? You guys, I hope you didn't chop it down. I love that tree. You get lemons of it. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when you use the code Dan at checkout. Love this company. Like I said, we buy from them all the time. The plants are beautiful. They're very resilient, especially down here in Florida. That's an additional 20% off better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com. Use the code Dan at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com. Use code Dan. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use Dan to save today. Code Dan. Again, fastgrowingtrees.com. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Here's what I'm talking about. How Trump is like the best weather vane out there. His instincts to take advantage of this are great. Here's Scott Bessent on a rewards program for people out there who expose fraud. Creating what? An incentive for the people to police up their own tax dollars. Genius. Check this out.
I don't know, Joe, but it's very exciting. I think it's going to be a great way to ferret out waste, fraud, and abuse, starting in Minneapolis, which has been ground zero. So we are encouraging whistleblowers who know about fraud, people who are stealing from the American taxpayer, to come forward. At Treasury, we're setting up a website, and we will be giving rewards up to 10 to 30% of the fines that we levy.
Freaking genius. I'm telling you, this guy's one of the unheralded superstars of the cabinet. He's constantly thinking of new ways. This would have never, ever. I'm sorry. I just did a bad thing. You know what I did, guys? I didn't complete the thought. Guy hates when I do that. Okay? This guy is amazing. He sees ahead. He senses a problem and he says, how do we fix this? How do we provide a solution for massive amounts of fraud that are very hard to police, especially if we are not going to get the cooperation of state and local officials who are likely liberal Democrats who love this fraud and want it because it gets people suckling on the government. And he's like, I got an idea, bro. Let's just put a reward system out there for a bunch of citizen journalists to go out and uncover the fraud themselves. Freaking genius. You say, well, Dan, it's not the genius idea. Well, really? Why hasn't anyone else done it before? Why hasn't anyone else done it? I had a meeting recently. I'm not going to say who would have, extremely successful guy. Had a meeting, talk about some stuff. I asked the guy, so that was the greatest idea ever when you started this company. Incredible company. He said, no, it wasn't. I was just solving a problem. I said, really? If it wasn't a genius idea, why didn't someone else think of it? And he looked at me and he goes, that's a good point. I said, I understand you're being humble. This is what the Trump administration does different. This is what I was trying to tell you. It's why I don't go on endlessly about all the FBI stuff because I don't want to bore you to death. Great, fine, good. We heard it. I'm telling you, working for this guy, he just wants to solve problems. No administration in the past would have done this. They would have been afraid of the headline. You know what? Here's the headline. Let me give you the headline in advance, the liberal media, so you can laugh when it comes out. Scott Besson rewards citizen vigilante. Tell me it's not coming. Tell me, fellas, mark it, flag it, red flags in the chat. It is going to happen. You're going to see the headline. And a prior Republican administration would have backed down and been like, oh my gosh, we can't have this. You know, something could happen. Someone could report fraud and it turns out to be legitimate. Okay, it's going to happen. $1 billion flags in the chat. Flags in the chat. Tear it up. Only you guys can bust up the chat like that. I love that. Thank you. They'd be afraid. They would back down. They would back down in a heartbeat the minute they saw that. Folks, billion-dollar media enterprises get stories wrong once in a while. When you're out there in this space, you have to do your best, but not every single time is a story going to work out. You correct it and you move on. Okay? He gets it better than anyone. Folks, open borders plus the welfare state is the Democrats' only possible solution for sustaining power. That is it. They don't have another option. That is why they are so resolutely focused on Stephen Miller. Did you see the hit pieces coming out this weekend? The Daily Mail had a hit piece out about Stephen Miller, how Stephen Miller is like he's on the outs. It's like their third or fourth piece on Stephen Miller. Why are they so focused on Stephen Miller? Because Stephen Miller has been a hardliner on immigration. I mean that as a compliment. We've had a bunch of softies for years that have opened up the country to an invasion. They're going after Steve Miller again because he's a hardliner on immigration and is committed to shutting the border from the invasion that happened on our southern border. Here's Stephen Moore on CNN talking about how Trump doesn't get any credit for this, but there is a 95% decrease in illegal immigration. This is why the Democrats are in such absolute paranoia. They need replacements in their blue states from people leaving so they can get electoral college votes and members of Congress in there to impeach President Trump. And they're not getting them as they don't fly through the southern border again. Check this out.
It's putting these people in danger. When Democrats say how evil these people are and so on, it's, you know, these are the people who reduced illegal immigration by 95% under Donald Trump. That's one of the great triumphs of modern times.
And here is the problem. Running guy this morning. The normal guy running, trying to lose some weight as I come into work. If you missed the beginning of the show, struggling out there, like that's a normal guy. You can tell from 30 seconds of interaction, okay? The Democrats cannot relate to normal people anymore. So what do they have to do? They have to increasingly pay homage to their fringe that wants the movement to become a movement not centered on ideas, centered on attacking us and getting us out of the way. That's really important you understand that. Because when you're debating these leftists, they don't care about your ideas. They'll flip on a dime. They care about getting you out of the way. These people are crazy. And the money and the influence, and this is why I don't want our part of the political aisle to become and fall prey to this, is falling prey to an astroturf far left that wants you to believe like the working class, maybe Democrat in West Virginia, who's a bricklayer or a carpenter, believes in men in the women's room. Why is that? Because they cannot get away from lunatics like this. This is what I mean. We always bring receipts. This is Pramila Jayapal, no question, a left-wing lunatic. They're back again to this defund the police. Now it's taken a different form. Defund ICE, who are federal police officers. They're agents on behalf of the federal government with law enforcement powers. And not only that, you think this appeals to running guy? They want reparation. Folks, I'm not shitting you, okay? Listen in their own words. And in case you think this is a fringe idea, I'm going to play another congressman right after that Democrat who says the exact same thing. Not only do they want ICE defunded, defund the police, they want reparations, your tax dollars stolen from you to give to illegals who aren't even in the country legally. Listen to yourself.
We also need offensive actions around prosecutions. We need real accountability. Because at the end of the day, the people that have been inflicting this harm need to be prosecuted. They need to be brought before us and they need to be held account for the trauma that they have created. And we are going to have some form of reparation.
I can't even believe it. Folks, let me apologize to you in advance. I actually undersold that clip to the team. Did you get that? You're like, no, Dan, that was right. It's basically like attacking ICE and talking about reparations. No, I totally undersold it. I sent that clip over on Friday, and I watched it in the beginning, and my 100% apologies. It's even worse. She wants ICE locked up for locking up the bad guys. Here it is. I am sorry. I'll have to go to confession with Father Marty. My apologies. I totally screwed that one up. Even worse. I am sorry, Premia Jailapal. You were even worse than I said in the beginning of introing that clip. My apologies. You suck even worse than the suck level I thought the suck level was at before I played the clip. That's on me. That is a total show screw up. Andy's like, what did I do? You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. It's just totally on me. It's even worse. So now we've evolved from let's have ICE reforms and shut down TSA over it so Americans have to sit in long lines at airports, to let's defund ICE, to now we've evolved to let's lock up ICE and take American taxpayer dollars to give to illegals who were locked up for being here illegally as reparations. This is your party, bro. If you're a Democrat, take a bow, mother. Take a bow. This is your party. No, it isn't. Yes, she's a Democrat. Oh, she's a lunatic. No. Well, yes, but not by Democrat standards. This is not isolated. Here's Democrat Joaquin Castro basically saying the same thing. They really believe this. You vote these people in the midterms and then the next presidential election. Let me tell you something. You like politics? You're going to get it good and hard. Check this out.
I believe that there ought to be a special commission if Democrats take over the House of Representatives or the Senate. There should be a special commission that investigates ICE's legal violations and human rights violations.
But I thought it was just a small pocket of Democrats. No, it's not. No, it's not. Folks, they are all like this. Look at their voting records. You have a binary coming up. Someone in the chat was just, who was it said that? Someone was thanking me for bringing up the whole idea of open board. This is what Milton Friedman, legendary economist, God rest his soul, wrote, Capitalism and Freedom. Just an amazing guy. Friedman's videos, I strongly encourage you to watch him if you want to learn even basic things about economics. He has always said, a country cannot have an open border and a welfare state. It's like having a bank with no withdrawal policies. Think about what I just said. Well, how's that, Dan? Anybody can just walk in and take money out? Yes! Stephen Miller said it at the beginning of the show. That the anti-fraud efforts by governments at all level are totally inadequate for the amount of money going out the door. The United States government has become a bank with no withdrawal policies whatsoever. You can't run a freaking country like that. Now do you understand why they so passionately, what do you mean? They want the country destroyed? Yes. Why they so passionately want that open border again? And they hate the Nick Shirleys of the world and the other citizen journalists out there? Because their whole business model falls apart then. No sane person is voting for Democrat policies like let's lock up ICE for locking up illegals and then pay illegals reparations. No sane person's voting for that. And it's not no true Scotsman. This is real. If you were sane and have an IQ above 62, there's nobody talking like this but freaking absolute lunatics. The opposite of sanity. This is how bad this is for the Democrats. This is John Carl on ABC. No right-wing guy, folks. This is ABC, okay? Here's John Carl. The clip's a little bit over a minute, but it's worth your time. One of the worst senators in the United States Senate is from Maryland, Chris Van Hollen. I met this guy. I know his staff. When I was running for Congress, he was a congressman in around Montgomery County area. This guy is a loser on like Diana Ball. I mean, just a complete life loser, zero. Here he is on ABC with John Carl. Again, John Carl, no big conservative commentator. The dude doesn't work for Breitbart. Here he is like, hey man, just to be clear, ICE is already funded through 2029. Does everybody get that before I play the clip? ICE is already funded, the big, beautiful bill. They have their money. No, Dan, they're not funded. The Democrats said they're shutting down the government over ICE funding. They are not. The Democrats are shutting down the government over an additional supplemental, not the money to fund ICE operations. I want you to understand that. That's not what's happening. So what are they shutting the government down for? Because they want you to hurt. That's why. Here's John Carl. Check this out.
You have fought and blocked the funding for the Department of Homeland Security because you object, as you just outlined, to what ICE has been doing. And you wanted to force changes. And yet, the only thing that has been assured throughout all of this is that ICE already has the money. Because as you said, $75 billion passed in the budget bill last year. So you're holding up the entirety of the Department of Homeland Security because you object to ICE and you want changes to ICE. But through it all, ICE continues to have the money it needs.
John, we're not holding up all of the money for all the Department of Homeland Security. That's just a false statement. We have said repeatedly, repeatedly, we should fund TSA, we should fund FEMA, we should fund the Coast Guard. We are not prepared to give ICE another $10 billion on top of the monies they already have and are using in many of these lawless operations. We're not going to give them another $10 billion unless they make fundamental reforms,
that $10 billion,
holding
you're
people
holding up
accountable
everything
for the killing of American citizens.
And fighting over that additional $10 billion, you are holding up the rest of Department of Homeland Security.
We're not holding it up.
I mean,
you're saying... No, John, we're not holding it up. We have now voted 10 times...
Right, but you're holding up unless it doesn't include money for ICE.
Folks, they're just bullshitting you. I don't know any other way to say it, to relay information from my cerebral cortex through the digital interface into yours, other than they're just lying. They are not shutting down the government over ICE funding. ICE is funded. You just heard it from the ABC guy, John Carl, who definitely has no dog in advancing the conservative football. He has no dog in that fight. He's telling Van Hollen it's about a supplemental. It's nothing to do with day-to-day funding at all. You're just making this shit up. They want you to hurt. They see here's their overall message. You want me to just decipher it for you? I hope you do. They are agents of chaos. They think they can use their media buddies. If they cause chaos at airports, they falsely put out information that we're getting our asses kicked in Iran. They think they can make the entire country look chaotic and blame it on Donald Trump. But then they're the cause of the chaos. I get it. I understand. They're relying on their media friends and sycophants and ass kissers and bootlickers to blame it on Trump. That's why clips like that are so devastating. You know what I think is really going on? Why John Carlin? I don't know the man. But you know why I think they're doing things like this? You're seeing this more in left-wing media now about this specific issue. Anyone in the chat have any ideas? They're doing it because they're getting held up in TSA lines too, and they're getting tired of it. You know, someone told me about politics once. You know, sometimes politics, you got to make it like bleed a little bit, you know, not bleed like violence, obviously. You know, we're obviously against all that. But it's got to like feel, you got to feel it. It's got to impact your life. The politics are personal. Impact your business, and then it'll make sense. Reminds me of the rain tax in Maryland when they got a 2-term Republican governor in the blue state of Maryland because the Democrats decided it'd be a good idea to tax the rain. And they did. How much runoff? It destroyed them for 8 years because it hurt so many businesses with flat top roofs, which is like everyone in Maryland. I remember that. This one hurts. People are standing in line. I think the media is like, hey, man, we're tired of the bullshit. They're not the good guys here, folks. They could have told the truth a long time ago. And most of them are still lying and will. Because they're the anti-communists. But now it's affecting them. And this is the best they can do. This is just an epidemic of stupid breaking out on the left that is dominated by this fringe party that can't relate to jogging guy on the avenue out there. They just can't. Here's this lunatic at the airport. Did you see this? It went viral last week. Watch these ICE guys just laugh at this loser. These are the kind of idiots. I love these morons. These absolute wuss bag freaking little, I want to say something different. They show up, look, I got a videotape you. Yeah, okay, go ahead. This is how it's going to work out for you. Check this out.
You guys are the foot soldiers of a fascist regime, right? Is that not what it is? Is that funny? Is that funny?
Good for you, my friend. ICE agent gentlemen, laugh in their faces, man. Laugh in their faces. That's exactly what they deserve, is mockery. Every time. And again, in case you think this is some fringe position, here's Ilhan Omar. Is this her TikTok account or something? Look at it. ICE goes to the airport. Let's just rationally lay this out. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Democrats shut down the government, claiming it's over ICE funding. It's not. ICE is funded. Step 2, Democrats lie, media covers for them. Step 3, Donald Trump does everything he can to open up the airports, including emergency funding for TSA, which now I hear the Democrats are suing over. Suing to keep TSA from getting paid? Yes, correct. And then threaten to lock up ICE and make fun of them as ICE goes to the airports to try and alleviate the security headache at a lot of airports because the Democrats shut down funding for security at airports. Here's Ilhan Omar. They think this is hilarious, ICE at the airports. If you're watching on Apple and Spotify, you got to see the video. This is worth your time. Check this out.
Doing nothing, working the whole day through, trying to find lots of things not to do. We're busy going nowhere, isn't it just a crime? We like to be unhappy, but we never do have the time.
You got the good guys, these ICE guys in the airport, and you've got these just absolute losers walking around. Hey, let me film the guy going to the bathroom. People do that. I don't know if you know, like that's a thing. Just freaking weirdos. This is why they will never relate to running guy out on the avenue. They can't. It is impossible. Here's a CNN interview with Ed Markey. Back to the defund the police stuff again. They see this as a strategic weapon on their side, eliminating ICE to open the border again. So much so that this has become almost a unanimous position on the left. I'm just showing you this in case you think this is just isolated to one or two lunatics. Check this out.
Still going to have a big battle over ICE. I believe ICE should be defunded. I don't think that ICE is any longer capable of existing because it is so corrupt at its core. But we still have to have that debate.
There you go. You don't need to hear it from me. Hear it from them. How do you think this stuff resonates with normal people who don't want their kids killed walking in the streets of Chicago? They don't talk like normal people. You know who does, though? Remember Brooklyn Chris? I don't know Brooklyn Chris. However, they interviewed him at the airport. He's like, hey, man, I just want the ice cream. I just want to go on vacation. This is how normal people are, bro. This is how normal people are. They're not talking about defunding the police, locking up ICE, you dipshits on the left. Brooklyn Chris is back. As someone caught up with him and like, hey, man, you're now a viral sensation. This is just quick, but I don't know this guy, but he cracks me up. Check this out.
I started seeing the ICE agents walk, and I was like, they look like they're here to help if God forbid something happens. I mean, the last I knew, people were scared to go to airports years ago. The more safety and security, the better. That's just the way that's just the way I feel. But I don't really care who was there to help. As long as everything goes smooth in the airport and everyone gets on their planes, like, God bless.
Running guy outside. We have just the heart-to-heart we had in the beginning. Folks, don't get depressed. I'm serious, man. If you're on Twitter all day, I have to be there for show prep. And honestly, there's a little bit of FOMO. Like, I don't want to miss anything for the show. But you're on X and you swear to yourself, like, my gosh, like, this is over. Like, everything's falling apart. You know it. You've seen it. Come on. You've seen it. Just, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is not how 90% of the world, not the United States, let's keep it that. 90% of U.S. citizens feel right now. On either side, they have complaints about politics in the system. They've got stuff to do to run businesses and things like that. Now, getting back to my follow the money segment, this is important. I want to cover this as well, because we've been talking about following the money when it comes to fraud, and Nick Shirley following the money from people pretending to be inside of our tent, who are likely well-funded to fracture the MAGA coalition from the inside. But I want you to understand that the model for that comes from the activist far left that's been using the funding of NGOs and others. And this is a delicate issue. I know you got to understand, folks, like this is a delicate issue because you absolutely have the big R God-given right to assemble and petition your government. You do. You are allowed to pay for a protest. You're allowed to pay as long as the protest isn't violent, doesn't break any laws. And I don't think anyone would want to change that. You're allowed free speech in the country, as we should be. But we should be candid that this is all Astroturf paid for bullshit because it speaks to motive. We also have free speech and can expose this bullshit. It's not real. This free Palestine, bring back communism, we love Maduro, save the Iranian mullahs, save the whales. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Running Guy and Brooklyn Chris are not doing that. I don't know Brooklyn Chris politics. I shouldn't bring them in. They're not doing that. How many videos you need to see on TikTok when they put a microphone in a protester's face? I saw one this morning. There was this woman and her young daughter. Who brings their young, 8-year-old to a protest, by the way? Why are you guys protesting? The girl's like, I don't know. I saw something on the internet. They don't even know what they're protesting. This lady, Asra Nomani, she's been doing some really good reporting work. She talks about, I cut this clip kind of short because the non-government organization network of left-wing donors, if you think these are small amounts of money, oh, look at this. She's on Fox right now. How hilarious. Right now, we could go to questions over groups behind No Kings protest. Asra Nomani. Here's her clip. Listen to the number at the beginning. The number she's throwing around. How much money is going into this? A couple 100,000? Check this out.
From these 500 groups with, get this, a $3 billion budget collectively. And where does their political influence, their political contributions, and their, individual employee donations go, but mostly to the Democratic Party. And that's why we see this silence. And unfortunately, they pull their punches on the issues that matter to you, for example, that you just cited, because that would mean turning against the Democratic politicians that they're trying to keep in power.
Now, listen, I'm not going to smoke you up, okay? When, left-wing communist Drudge Report puts out pictures like thousands show up for No Kings, we can't ignore that, paid or not. They are people. You can see the pictures yourself. They do show up. Well, you say the left-wing media idiots always say, well, why can't Republicans do that? Number one, we have. You see more than that show up at MAGA rallies when Donald Trump is there. So that your assertion there is total bullshit. But second, one of the reasons Republicans pre-Donald Trump have had a hard time gathering enormous groups of people for street activism is because they have a fucking job. That's why. They work for a living. Like Running Guy outside on the avenue. They have a job. Play that Freedom News TV hat tip on it. Here are some of the flags you see at some of these No Kings rallies and other anti-Trump rallies out there. You think any of this is organic? You notice one of them's like a hammer and sickle? It's like the Soviet Union or something. I don't know. I'm really a history major. Check that. Check this out.
Working class revolution!
There's always a song. Look at it. Oh, look at that. Soviet flags, a bunch of commies. That's right there. You really believe Running Guy and These other people, at least that talk like Brooklyn Chris out there, you think these are the people at these rallies? This is all bullshit. These people are selling you pet rocks. Here's another one. Here's this young man. He's at one of these rallies as well. He goes around asking questions. And of course, because these people at these rallies are paid straight up thugs who don't believe in your right. Remember, I just said, okay, clear as day because it's true. Leftist or not, you have the big R God-given right to protest and to assemble. You have all the rights I do. That's the thing about rights. They apply to everyone. However, we have that right too. These freaking goons and well-funded NGO assholes and anti-communist and anti-American assholes, they don't give a damn about your right to show up and cover it. Watch what they do to this young man as he tries to ask just basic questions. They follow him around like the bunch of thugs they are. These are the people you want to vote in office? I don't think so. Check this out.
Death to the Zionist entity! Death to America and death to Dan Zimmerman!
So again, still following me.
For peace! For harmony! Peace! For harmony! For the settler colony! In the settler colony!
So why are you guys blocking me?
Why are you walking through the crowd?
I'm not walking, you're not in the crowd. The crowd is over there, so why don't you go back to the crowd? Again, all blocking me, not in the crowd. The crowd is over there. Can I do my job as a journalist, please?
Across the country until their manufacturing of weapons.
You got credentials? We have, yes, go to surgemedia.us.
Listen to me, okay?
You see these thugs? Why are you walking through the crowd? Because I'm a free American citizen, you dipshit. He doesn't even have to be a reporter. That's a public street. Folks, it's all paid for bullshit. I'm not telling you there are people out there who don't believe this collectivist, communist, destroy freedom and liberty, advocate for the Soviet communist flag and the principles, air quotes, behind it. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that the people there who believe in that are a small, limited number, and the rest are just thugs and jerk-offs who have nothing better to do than collect a check from NGOs with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of assets who have to pay you to show up. Right-wingers don't do this because they've got freaking jobs. That's why. That's the problem. Problem, air quotes. Now, folks, everywhere this big government system has been tried, it has been an absolute failure. Big government meaning steal people's money through a confiscatory taxation system and hand it out to others. The latest info piece that just came out about red states versus blue states, and please do not move to Florida if you are a leftist trying to escape a high tax state. I'm asking you as your not friend, do not come down here. But the latest data has just come out that if you're not a moron, you're going to look at this table and be like, wow, that model, big government collectivism, really sucks. Everybody's leaving. And I want to play a video for you, this candidate out in L.A. Listen, I have no dog in that fight, okay? I don't. L.A.'s in a lot of trouble. But did you see this Spencer Pratt guy? He was in a reality show, which is fine. I have no problem against that. But he's running for mayor out there. Like him or not, he had a great line, a great comeback. I thought it was pretty interesting. So I'll show you that as it relates to these blue cities, red states, the versus kind of problem, right? Because we're winning, clearly. The data's there. Last break, we'll get back to that. American financing. Let's be honest. The cost of living, it's not just high. Sometimes it's exhausting. If you've been leaning on credit cards lately just to cover the basics like groceries, gas, and utility bills, you're essentially paying a survival tax of 20% interest or more. Who wants that? Folks, put some more money back at your wallet. Check out my friends at American Financing. They just have a better way. They're helping homeowners tap into their equity to pay off high-interest debt with mortgage rates currently in the fives. The fives. On average, American Financing is saving their customers $800 a month. That's big savings. That's nearly $10,000 a year back in your pocket where it belongs. Just takes 10 minutes to find out what you could save too. American Financing. Go check them out. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant. Here's the kicker. Start today, and you could even delay 2 mortgage payments. American Financing, America's home for home loans. Give them a call. Here's the number. 888-994-7660. That's 888-994-7660. Or you could visit them online. It's a .net address. AmericanFinancing.net/Bongino. That's AmericanFinancing.net/Bongino. Thank you, American Financing. Go check them out. See what they can do for you. This is what I'm talking about. This is more directed to the leftist goons still in the audience right now. I know it's spring break week again. This is actually like the Northeast spring break. Last week was more the South. I get it, but if you're here and you're listening and you happen to be a liberal who likes to be annoyed by common sense and liberty and freedom and that type of stuff, I'm going to ask you a question because this is for you. So the tax data, the adjusted state like gross income, the state's tax base, information for 2023 finally just came out. It's always a couple years behind, but it's pretty valuable because it shows where people are moving. Wall Street Journal just put a piece up about this called "The High Tax Wealth Flight Continues." It shows amazingly, folks, liberals are like, I don't get it, man. What's happening? States with the highest taxes continue to lose the most income to other states. You think that's a little coincidence? They know California lost on net $11.9 billion, mostly to Texas. Texas, Andrew, Republican or Democrat state? Yes, you are correct, Republican. So California lost to Texas, Nevada, and Arizona. Purple and red state. Other big losers include New York, $9.9 billion, Illinois, $6 billion, Massachusetts, $4 billion, New Jersey, $2.6, Maryland, $1.8 billion, and Minnesota, $1.5 billion. Put up the chart, please, for those who are visual learners. It looks to me like the adjusted gross income net migration to other states that shockingly, a bunch of people are like, hey, man, this big government thing sucks so bad that even though I advocate for it because some NGOs pay me, I don't actually want to pay for it because it sucks. So California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, they are losing money and a whole lot of it, a fortune, to these states. Nevada, purple. Tennessee, pretty red. North Carolina, purple. Texas, pretty red. And look at that. The great state of Florida, very red, cleaning up. Now, I know Andrew's like giving, he's doing like the number one foamy finger guy. Stand easy, buddy. Stand easy on the mustard deck. Don't be getting excited. Because what's going to happen? Dan, why are you covering it? Everybody's covering it. I want to show you one we're right. I want to encourage conservatives to move to conservative states. It's wonderful. Go find freedom. It loves you. But please, please, liberals, in the name of all that's good, please don't come down here. I don't know how many times I have to give this speech. We don't want you. Folks in the chat, can you test the chat for me, by the way? I got Chris working on some stuff at Rumble. Test the chat for me while you're still here. Yes, I want liberals to move to my states. Why? And no, stay the... We don't want you. Nobody wants you. The chat will vote. This is a democracy here. This is a democracy in the chat. They control it. Nobody wants you. No one wants you. No. Let's stop on one. I can't even, this chat goes so fast sometimes. Look at that. I can't even read it. Auburn dude or something. This is our show. Only our chat can do this. Now, by the way, it shows you also that our show is actual real people. Unlike these botted bullshit shows out there too, try to pretend they speak for the people. We don't want you. Please go away. Go. Motley Crue, right? Was that the song? Girl, don't go away, man. Just go away. It's still going. Hell no. No, all caps. No, there's no yeses in there at all. There is none. Nobody wants you. Please stay out. I don't understand. You run your states into the ground saying that the big government, high tax environment you created is so wonderful. And the first thing you freaking do is get a U-Haul to move out. So Andy's like, yeah, foam finger guy number one. I'm like, no. It's great we're number one, but just please stay back where you are. We don't want, it's still, unbelievably, it's still, wait, I got one. Oh, here's one of the McGroins. Washing McGroin. STFO. I assume that means stay the out. Thank you, Washington. Is a place you want to wash in? This McGroin. I love the McGroins. They're like the Bongino Army, like originals right there. They are. You guys are the best. Stay out, please. But unlike leftist commies who follow like thugs that young man around, we can't stop you. I just really wish you would stay out. Really, nobody wants you. Here, one more thing. I'm sorry, and I'll go on. I have to. Here's the problem. Where I live in Florida, it's gotten more conservative. I'm sure they exist, but I don't actually know any huge liberal Democrats. I say we're Democrats, but not really super liberal. I don't know them. I'm going to tell you they don't exist. If you go to a house party or get together or whatever, liberals, everyone's going to hate you. I'm just telling you. Am I right? Andy, Justin, you've been here the longest. You have, I think so, actually. He's the young, but he may have been in Florida. I don't know. These guys maybe, I got to ask him. Justin's been here a long time. Justin can vouch. Everywhere you go, people are going to hate you. You can't even go to church. People aren't going to like you there. Right? Father Marty give a homily. You're not going to like it. Just go away. Just go away. That's... Sorry, man. I'm in a mood today. I had a great weekend. Really, man. It's nothing like, whatever. Not like spending time with your family. I don't say whatever because I just, you probably heard all that before. You want the ultimate life flex? Enjoy some time with your family. That's the ultimate flex, man. You come back refreshed and charged and ready to go. I bring up this blue state, red state divide because blue states are dominated by deep blue cities that are even bluer than the state. Folks, New York and Maryland. Well, what do you know about those? Well, I live there. I grew up in New York and I ran for office in Maryland. I lived in Maryland for 12 years. New York and Maryland are deep blue states I have a large body of experience in. The states are not blue. The cities in the states are blue. Well, the problem is the cities dominate the population, so they make the state blue. But geographically and regionally, the states are not blue. New York, whether you go out to certain parts of Long Island, certainly not all of it, certainly upstate and Western New York, you have a lot of pockets of really strong Trump support. In Maryland, you get out of Baltimore, Montgomery County, yes, they're population centers and, numbers are might. But you go to Western Maryland, you go to the Eastern Shore, Carroll County, you have really, really strong Republican groups out there. The blue cities are the problem. This guy's Spencer Pratt. He was you guys know the reality show he was on? I remember it growing up. Was it The Hills? Can folks in the chat help me out? Did we we just totally smashed that chat today. Someone in the chat help me out. I think it was The Hills. I don't really care. I mean, Donald Trump had a real The Hills. Okay, thank you, chat. You guys are the best. I don't care what this guy did. I really don't. All I care about is the people in charge. He's running for mayor in Los Angeles against Karen Bass, who's a complete freaking lunatic, a straight up commie. He's in a debate this weekend, and the TV host is like, hey, man, you were like a reality star, and trying to quietly diminish him. And what the hell do you know about politics? His answer here. I'm not telling you support, don't support. I'm just telling you this is really funny stuff. You got to see yourself. Check this out.
Known as a reality TV star. Do you think that is, in your campaign for Los Angeles mayor to run the biggest city in California, is that a label that you embrace? Is that hurtful to your campaign, or does it help, you think?
I mean, the reality, pun intended, is that was from 20 years ago. And if we look at what Karen Bass was doing 20 years ago, she was in Cuba learning how to make bombs with the people that would then go bomb Capitol Hill. So if we're looking at backgrounds, I'm pretty proud of what I was doing at 20 on reality television, even though it was, I may not have been the most likable character. It was still TV versus trying to destroy America and going to Cuba 20 times and praising Fidel Castro. So against my opponent, my background's pretty strong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Andrew's getting all bold. He's like, so Guy's going on vacation or something? I don't know what he's doing. Some Star Wars convention or something. Guy, what are you doing? Oh, he's doing Dungeons and Dragons again. So, no, what is it? No, I'm sorry. It's Flesh and Blood. So Guy's like one of the top players in the cosmos. It's like aliens and stuff from like Project Hail Mary, little Rocky guy who like respect Guy's. He plays this game, Flesh and Blood. He's really good. So Guy's going to be gone. He's taken like 6 months or something for a sabbatical or something like that. So Andrew's in charge today. That's why I was riffing on him at the beginning of the show. It was just a little thing, but it's, you know, listen, the show is the show. Podcasts are different than TV. We screw up, we make it part of the show. So he's getting bold. He's running the show like by himself in there. I don't know what Justin's doing. Justin's getting a tan or something like that. So he's in there by himself, and Andrew's getting cocky now. He's doing air squats. He's like opening the door, like, because, you know, I can't hear them in the studio, you know. So he's opening the door. He's like, hey, Dan, hey, you believe this? You can't be a reality star anymore if you're, you know, Democrats don't like plumbers, reality stars. Donald Trump goes to work at a McDonald's. They're like, oh, what a loser. That was a great point, Andrew. Good point. I'm glad to see you taking some initiative, bull by the horns. You are. You're learning fast. Your curve is good. Very high. But he's right. The Democrats hate you. If you work for a living, you're Brooklyn Chris, or someone who talks like Brooklyn Chris, or running guy, or you work in a McDonald's, or you're a plumber, or God forbid you had a reality show at some point. By the way, politics, the worst reality show of all. You're just not one of us, the Democrats are saying. Yes, we are not one of you. You're correct. That's why we don't want you moving down here to our wealthy red states. Stay where you are with your social media influencers, your cigar-smoking, foie gras, bow tie wearing D-bags at your lobbyist meetings, and your Soviet flag rallies. Just stay there. Don't join us. We don't want you. Strength is not numbers in this case. We don't want your numbers. Just stay where you are. Folks, I can't leave you today without immediately dispelling the latest Donald Trump rage bait hoax. We are on version number 3000 of Donald Trump is a racist. As I've said many times before to Guy and others, if Donald Trump is a racist, he's the single worst racist I ever met. Historic numbers of Black and Hispanic voters voting for Republicans for the first time. Donald Trump goes into the Bronx, a hotbed of liberal activism, and everybody was screaming and yelling for him. We love Trump and all that stuff. If he's a racist, he really sucks at it. That's a good point, Justin. He's like, if he's a monarch and a king, he sucks at that too. He's a terrible king. He's like, yeah, Supreme Court ruled against me. I don't like him, but we're going to follow the law. That's the worst king ever. The worst king ever, this guy. Right? This guy, there's two things Donald Trump sucks at: being a racist and being a king. He's really bad. He's really bad at it. Here's the latest hoax. Throw up, the great Maze Moore had this tweet I picked out last week. It happened last week. It's not even getting a lot of steam, but because it's just so stupid. So Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, who has implemented a strict meritocracy program, thank the Lord, and I'm not using his name as vain, at the Pentagon, where merit is going to decide promotions, decided to promote some people and other people to not get promoted. Well, one of those persons who was eligible, I guess, was a Black female, which, great, no, who cares? Apparently, the secretary didn't think that was the best person for the job. So, of course, what happened? This is the most anticlimactic ending. They're like, let me guess, Donald Trump's a racist. Yes, he's a racist. Anonymous sources, come on, Donald Trump didn't want this person promoted because he didn't want he didn't want to stand next to two Black officers or something like that. Oh, okay, sure. Folks, this is just more like we can't relate to running guy, Brooklyn Chris types and others at all. So we have to paint Donald Trump as a hater of said group. We're going to put you in unions, Black votes, Hispanic votes, immigrant votes, whatever it is. It's just more bullshit. Disregard. The only reason I bring it up is more evidence there that they don't have anything. This is not about an ideas fight, as I said in the beginning. Don't get lost in that. The left doesn't care about gay rights. The left doesn't care about taxes. The left is bitching now about salt that benefited rich people. The salt limitation. The left is bitching about it. Wait, I thought you didn't want rich people to benefit from tax cuts. They were the ones who wanted it. They're all full of shit. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Can't thank you enough for last week. What a banger of a week. Haley coming up at noon. Vince coming up at 8. If you wouldn't mind, please go to rumble.com/Bongino on the web or download the Rumble app. It's a great app. Download the app. Follow our show. It is free. Join us in the chat room every day at 10 a.m. Click that follow button or just watch us on demand anytime. Just a note, we are on Apple and Spotify, but we're not on there with video. The video is exclusive to Rumble. That's why most of our viewers come here. However, if you want to subscribe on Apple and Spotify and listen to the audio version of the show, you can do that too. A lot of people prefer that. So up to you. Rumble.com/Bongino. I will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania,
Host of Vince.
host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report channel.
live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays. And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be right here and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.